Hey folks, thanks for tuning into another edition of BevNet's Elevator Talk live stream. I'm Ray Latif, the editor and producer of BevNet's Taste Radio podcast, the #1 podcast for the food and beverage industry. Excited for another amazing edition of the show. We have a sponsor for this episode, and that is Mother Murphy's. A bit about the company. For over 74 years, Mother Murphy's Flavors has elevated flavor innovation in the food and beverage industries. Clients can choose from the company's ever-growing library of 60,000 flavors or its TTB-approved flavor library of over 2,000 flavors. Their in-house chemists can help you create a custom flavor that will give your products a winning edge on the market. To learn more about how Mother Murphy's can support your product development and innovation strategy, head to mothermurphys.com. Outstanding. All right. Our co-host for this episode, I am so excited, is Dinah Trout, the co-founder and CEO of Health Aid Kombucha. Dinah, how are you?
Hi, I'm so good. Thanks for having me.
We are honored to have you. I haven't seen you since December at BevNet Live Winter 2019, when you were the person or named Person of the Year for 2019 by BevNet. We were so honored to have you there, and I'm so honored again to have you with us today.
Thank you. Yes, I was honored then as well and continue to be. Thanks for the support.
So I'm assuming most of our audience knows about Health Aid Kombucha, knows maybe a little bit about you, but for those who don't, can you tell us a bit about yourself and the brand and the company?
Sure. So I'm Dinah. Hello, everybody. I'm the CEO and one of the 3 co-founders of Health Aid. You might know us best by our kombucha here. We started the business about 8 years ago in the LA farmers markets and grew it like crazy since then. So today we're in about 36,000 stores in all states. We're the fastest growing brand now 3 years in a row in all of kombucha. And we have about 200 folks on the team here at Health Aid, based in Torrance, California, where I am actually right now. And part of that team, a good half of that team, is actually in manufacturing. So one of the things that makes us unique is that we are also a manufacturing business. So, very, very happy to be here. Been friends and supporters of BevNet along the way. And Ray and I have known each other a long time. So that's a little bit about us.
A long time indeed. Health Aid Kombucha, the winner of our New Beverage Showdown competition. Was that New Beverage Showdown 6? Was that long ago?
Wait, I have the award here. Yes.
New Beverage Showdown 6. We're on number 19 now. Definitely one of the shining stars of our competition, Health Aid, for sure. It's pretty amazing to look back at the development of the company. And I think that's why I wanted, to have you on our show today, is to speak with our entrepreneurs about what it really takes to be successful, and for you to kind of offer some feedback and advice as to the ins and outs, so to speak, of our industry, and some of the tips and pointers that you've learned along the way.
100%.
Totally. All right. Are you ready to get started and meet our first entrepreneur for the show?
So ready.
Fantastic. Once again, if you're just tuning in, this is BevNet's Elevator Talk live stream. I'm Ray Latif, joined by Dinah Trout, the co-founder and CEO of Health Aid Kombucha. All right. Our first guests of the show are Bobby and Michael Giudicelli, who are the co-founders of Read the Ingredients. Bobby, Michael, how are you?
We're doing well, thanks. How are you doing?
Very good. I forgot to ask how to pronounce your name before we started the show. Your last name, that is. Did I get it even close?
Great. You nailed it, yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm really happy about it. Yeah. Read the Ingredients. Interesting brand name. Tell us about what the brand is all about, what you guys do.
So our brand is really about offering great tasting, plant-based, clean ingredient products. And the need for these products really came from both Bobby and mine experience with other, we'll call them bar or convenient meal on the go products that were on the market that we weren't really happy with for one reason or another. Whether it be that they were extruded, that they contained too much added sugar or ingredients we weren't happy with, or generally just the overall consistency and texture of the product. So out of not being happy with what was out there, we created these products to really fulfill that need, and we created a different product in that our product is baked, it's not extruded, and we really focused on what the ingredients are and making sure that we don't add any preservatives, any added sugar or sweeteners other than what is naturally in the product, say for a banana or apple or whatever we're using as the base, and really making sure that we felt great about what food we were eating and how our body was going to process the food we were eating.
Specifically, let me add that I actually created the first recipes that we had, and the purpose for me was breakfast. I could not find something that I could eat for breakfast that was convenient, that tastes good, that filled all of the criteria that Michael just talked about, and these products were created to be a full meal replacement and are a full meal replacement. So yeah, that's where we are today with two products that we had started with, our loaf and our big bites. Both of them calorically and nutritionally are full meals that are very, very healthy and very, very clean.
I hope I'm not offending you if I say that your bar, the one I'm seeing on your website, looks a little bit like a fruitcake, and I love fruitcake. So, is that what you're going for?
We're not, and we are in the midst of kind of a mini rebrand, if you will. One of the challenges we know we have, and Dinah, you would be hugely valuable to us, because I know that when Health Aid was founded, kombucha was a new category, and we find ourselves trying desperately to figure out the best way to introduce what we consider a new category, which is a healthy, convenient, fully nutritional, delicious breakfast that you would find in the freezer case in the retail stores. And the fact that we are mostly interpreted as another bar, in your case, a fruitcake, is really our challenge. And we are well aware. And so we've been on the market 6 months. We know right now we are at the point of doing a lot of new things to move forward.
Dinah, your thoughts? I mean, I think it's interesting. You know, Bobby brings up a good point that when Health Aid entered the market, kombucha was still a very small category with a handful of players in this country. Any suggestions on really standing out within a category that's still very much early into its development?
Yeah. So first of all, I really felt with you on the proposition of your product. I like the idea that it's a meal replacement. I think that's really smart. The challenge I often have with convenient on-the-go foods like this is that they're really snacks, and then I kind of need to eat like 5 of them, and then I ate more than a meal. So I like that you've really made it simple and easy, and like especially for a mom on the go or a dad on the go, I just see this as being like a really awesome proposition. So I think that's great, and you're onto something. I agree that you're gonna be communicating to people bar, because that's what I first thought when I saw you brought them up onto the screen. I thought, okay, a bar. But it's a meal replacement bar, but really it's much more than that. So, you have a challenge ahead of you for sure, because you're not a bar, you're more than that. And that's a challenge I'm familiar with, trying to express to consumers through positioning who you are and what you are is no easy feat. And we are constantly evolving that position, even at Health Aid today. Yes, at the beginning, we entered a world not being the first kombucha, but for sure having to be a very big contributor to the growth of the category. And all I'll tell you is that it's a consistent effort. There's no like marquee moment. It really is a comprehensive effort. And I think it starts with your packaging. And if you want to express something different, all I'll tell you is that you have to really look different. And so I think for Health Aid, for us, being in the brown bottle was a really important thing from a brand perspective, because everything at the time was in clear glass. I know it sounds small, but it is a big deal when you're on the shelf. It makes it sort of look different. Now I think there's been quite a bit of evolution of other brands to brown bottles, but in the beginning, it really wasn't many that were there. So Things like that, things like our font choice, how we just looked on the shelf needed to be really jarringly different. And so if you're trying to separate yourself from a bar, I might suggest really trying to look different than a bar in packaging. And I don't know what those options are, obviously, but you have to kind of think outside the box, I think, for those. And packaging is really where it begins, but it doesn't end there. I think also in all of your communications, first of all, I loved that when I went to your website, it said, I can't remember now because now I'm on your website, but it said, this is not a bar. So good, because even though that was my first thought, the second thought was, oh, okay, it's more than that. Perhaps there's an opportunity for that type of message right on the right on the actual packaging, almost just like breakfast or something like that. Because by the way, breakfast is the toughest meal for people to get down because of just so much you have to get done. So I don't know if that helps, except that I would just say, really think outside the box. You have to look different if you want to be different. And everything you say and do has to be contributing to that positioning that you're trying to achieve. It's not just one thing.
That's great.
Yeah, that's very helpful. And to your point, I mean, we know that we have that education that we need to do. And our target market really is the consumer that is not just going to be persuaded by marketing saying that it's healthy. They're actually going to look to the next step and look further, turn the package over and see what is actually in the ingredients. So there is certainly a lot that we can learn from what you just shared.
Dinah, I wonder if you could offer some advice in terms of explaining to retail buyers what a product is and why it's a benefit to their shelves. Adding it is a benefit to their shelves because, again, if you go back to 2014, 2013, you probably had to convince a lot of buyers that kombucha was something that their consumers wanted. And I think in the case of, read the ingredients, it's another one of these, how do you convince a buyer? How do you wet the buyer's palate, so to speak, for an unproven product and a brand that is still in the early stages?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's tough. And I'll tell you, you might get 9 no's before you get a yes. That was our case. When we entered the world, there was already somebody in retail and did well in retail. And kombucha was sort of a niche category at the time. So the common response was, we already have somebody that's doing fine. Like, we don't need another competitor here. It's such a niche space. Just kind of thank you, but no thanks. And we really had to push to say, give us a chance, give us a chance. There needs to be competition in this space. We think we can really make a dent here. And then, of course, once you get your first big shot, you got to win. And then when you win, you can use those winnings to help you get into the next place. So that first, they become increasingly easier as you go. But that first one is hard. And that first big one is hard. And I think, so what I'll tell you is buyers, so besides the fact that it's hard, buyers in retail, I think a good place to start is, in my mind, what we always do is start with the consumer. We talk about who we're after, what else are they buying, especially if it's a new category or a new product. They don't know how to categorize it. So helping them understand what they're also buying in their store, like specific to that store, is a really helpful thing. So you're starting to talk to them about what they're putting in their basket besides read the ingredients. And helping them kind of understand a little bit about who that consumer is. And hopefully that consumer is someone that shops a lot at that store. And if you can translate that at all to some kind of demographic, even if you don't know everything, it's all very helpful. You want to try to paint the picture of who's walking through the store, what else are they buying. But remember, whenever you're talking to anybody and trying to sell them on anything, you always want to be thinking about them. Like, what is it that they want? Retailers want something that's simple to order and buy, but they also want something that's going to make the money. So you have to help them see how it's going to drive a higher basket ring, how this is going to be something that makes consumers want to go to their store. Like, it's really try to pitch them on how it's going to make them win versus it being so focused on you, your brand, and your product. That would be my advice for you there with retailers.
Well, that is some outstanding advice. And I'd say we're off to a really great start. Really interesting brand, really great pitch, and outstanding feedback. Bobby, Michael, thank you so much for joining us today on the live stream. Please stay in touch. If we can help in any way, just let us know.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. And we'll be sure to send some samples your way.
Outstanding. I can't wait to try it. And if it tastes anything like a fruitcake, I doubt it does, but I will probably love it.
It's better.
All right. Thank you. All right. Moving on to our second guest of this episode of BevNet's Elevator Talk live stream is Tanisha Robinson, who is the founder and CEO of Wonder. Tanisha, how are you?
Hi, Ray. Great to see you. I'm doing great.
Great to see you as well. Wonder, W*NDR. Why the asterisk?
It actually is the only way we can write a hemp leaf on a keyboard. So that's our best option right now.
There you go. And a hemp leaf is important to what your brand is all about. Tell us about Wonder and what you guys do.
Yeah, so we're a naturally flavored sparkling beverage infused with vitamins and 20 milligrams of CBD. But we've come up with 4 unique flavors and formulations. And we have the Wonder meter here to make it intuitive for our customers. So those formulations focus on energy, focus, recovery, and relaxation. And the idea behind that is it's made us very different from the rest of our category, which tends to be seltzer water with some CBD in it, because there's a kind of a chasm of education and transparency in our space right now. And so we tried to add known vitamins and adaptogens to give people context on what they can expect when they drink a Wonder.
A chasm of education and transparency in our I love that. I'm going to start using that phrase. Can I borrow it?
Absolutely.
I'll attribute it to you, but I like it.
Okay. Yeah.
Why did you choose 20 milligrams? Because we've seen all kinds of dosages in different CBD beverages. Why is 20 the right for Wonder?
Science, Ray. So, we talked to a lot of folks in the industry and felt that 20 milligrams was a good starting point for people to start to feel the benefits, and that they can go up from there.
Dinah, do you consume CBD or CBD in beverage form?
Not yet, but I recently stopped breastfeeding, so I'm excited to start. And I have to say that, can I just kind of like go on from that question, Ray?
You can absolutely go on in any direction you want, Dinah.
Because I just want to say I love your packaging. I'm a huge packaging person. I really think that's your salesperson 24/7. And so when you're not there, it's doing work for you. It's one of the few things that I can say about anything in the business. And your packaging is really, really awesome. I also like the proposition you have of, adding vitamins and minerals. You mentioned adaptogens, but just something a little less, I guess I'll use the word scary, but let me articulate what I mean by that in a second. You add something that's a little more known to the product. And I think that's always smart when you're offering something that's a little bit unknown still. I mean, of course you have the people that know a lot about CBD, but if you're trying to drive people to the category, which I imagine you are, there's probably a bit of a hesitation because it's cannabis, right? So
absolutely. Yeah. We found people asking, what is CBD? Is it going to get me high? Is it going to make me sleepy? What's it going to do? And so that's exactly what we were very intentional about, thinking about clear function so that hopefully we can fit into somebody's daily ritual. And thus far, Night Moves is our best seller, which in these days, I could see why people need a relaxation drink more than they need an energy drink.
Yeah. I mean, if I may, the one thing I noticed, what I was going to say at the end of that was, so like there's the known part of the vitamins and stuff like that. And I think you are really trying to drive new occasions for this with your other than Night Moves options. Because up until this point, I think the people that do know something about CBD, not the experts, but the ones that are just starting to learn about it, they think about it as a relaxation thing, right? So that sort of does align with the fact that you're seeing more sales in Night Moves. So a way to potentially add more growth, I think, and it's just something I'll share, and I might not be right, by the way, this is just, sample of one here, but I think even being more, the word I want to say is potent, but that might be because we're talking about CBD, more potent with the actual name you're using to describe the other thing. So like, I think Born to Run, is that your energy one?
That's our recovery one. So
Recovery. Okay,
Breakfast Club is our energy one, which is our second bestseller, actually.
got it. So I think,
Yeah.
and maybe I'm wrong. I wouldn't shy away from saying energy,
Yeah.
or whatever it is that you were looking for. Night Moves is pretty clear. But when you said energy, I said, oh, I wonder if that's Born to Run or Fast Times, and I was wrong about both.
Yeah, Fast Times is for your afternoon productivity push. So yeah, more mental speed and agility than physical.
Cool. So just a suggestion, but I do love the packaging, and it makes me feel a little bit like less scared to try a CBD product.
That's great. That's kind of the idea. And we've had really, in terms of on shelves, there's not a whole lot of competition here in the Midwest, but we're seeing really strong velocity. We're mostly in independent stores, convenience, liquor stores, etc. And 85% of our customers that have ordered have reordered at least once, and that number keeps going up. So we feel like our best days are ahead, which is an exciting time for us. But Dinah, I had one question for you. When did you know or think about when to launch another flavor, another SKU? Was that customer driven, or were you guys just getting antsy?
We're always antsy.
Yeah, me too.
But I think sometimes it was customer driven. I think for us, one of the, and I think this is probably for anybody going to retail, so it's important probably to share this. Real estate matters. More real estate on the shelf means more eyes. There's a currency of like trust, I think, that's developed when you have more real estate. And so, not surprisingly, usually the brands that are like more on the shelf are, they've got 6 SKUs and everybody else has 3. The one that's 6 has usually got the highest velocities. So part of the strategy for us in developing new flavors was just to get more real estate. And there's a law of diminishing returns with retail buyers. When you go in with a new flavor or 7 new flavors, they're not going to give you 10 SKU facings of one flavor, not unless you're Coca-Cola. So a strategy in getting more real estate was essentially getting more flavors in front of those retailers. And so they would maybe only give you 2 SKU facings, but they take on 5 flavors. Well, there's your 10 SKU spots on the shelf. So I think that was really the driver for us, understanding that we need to get more eyes on, more presence on the shelf, and that we would accomplish that in part through new flavors. The other thing is, well, you'll recognize, and this maybe is a little early, but as you get to, I'm not sure though, you might be one of those companies that, can hit an awesome account right away. When you start to get to the levels of like Target and Walgreens and Walmart, these larger companies, so much responsibility and power lies in that buyer's hands. And often they're not your consumer. So in the example of kombucha, it's often like, a 65-year-old overweight guy. And that
straight
wasn't
white
really
dude. Straight white dude, Dinah.
Yeah. And we'd be like, no, but ashwagandha,
Yeah.
So you start to recognize that your ability to get on shelf requires the champion of the buyer. And so you really have to get to know who that buyer is and start to create flavors that person would love. So when we started to get into more of a mainstream world, we recognized that we actually needed flavors the buyers would love, because then we could actually access the customer. It's like there's a gatekeeper. Anyway, so
absolutely, yeah. I get that from my days in the craft beer industry, BrewDog. But I think that we are working on an all-day formulation as well that we're going to call 9 to 5. So I think we're excited about that, and adding some new territories and actually a website relaunch. But I think, the buyers are the center of the universe, and you're right, they hold all the keys. And so, we still have a challenge of the big grocery chains, Kroger, Giant Eagle, et cetera, are not taking on ingestible CBD. So we're kind of planting seeds and grinding in the small independent world for now, but trying to just continue to grow our geography.
I'm sorry to interject, but unfortunately we have to move on. This has been a great conversation. I think we should continue it. I actually have some questions, but I think we can integrate them into the rest of the show. So stay tuned, Tanisha. Keep watching, and I think we'll get to some more
Thanks,
great
guys.
stuff from Dinah. But thank you so much for joining us on the live stream, and great work, great start for Wonder.
Oh, appreciate you guys having me. Thank you, and good to meet you, Dana.
All right. Once again, if you're just tuning in, this is BevNet's Elevator Talk live stream. I'm Ray Latif, joined by Dinah Trout, who's the co-founder and CEO of Health Aid Kombucha, offering some perspective from the entrepreneur's lens. All right. This episode is sponsored by Mother Murphy's. Mother Murphy's Flavors has elevated flavor innovation for the food and beverage industry for over 74 years. Their in-house chemists can help you create a custom flavor that will give your products a winning edge on the market. To learn more about Mother Murphy's and to learn more about how Mother Murphy's can support your product development and innovation strategy, head to mothermurphys.com. All right, Dinah, you're killing it over here. You're giving such great feedback and advice. We need 2 hours. Can you stay for another hour? Is that possible? I sincerely doubt it, but thank you so much for being on the show again.
No problem. Thanks for having me. This is fun.
Indeed it is. All right, moving on to our next guest for the show. That is Ariel Glazier, who is the founder and chief latte drinker of La Di Da. Ariel, how are you?
Good. How are you?
So good to see you. When was that we first met? Was it 2014 at the Fancy Food Show when you were
exactly when I was launching Kombucha?
Kombucha, one of the first alcoholic kombucha beverages on the market, and now they're all over the place, if you can believe it.
Took a while, but yes.
Indeed. But this is a new project. We're going to be talking about your new brand, La Di Da. Tell us about it.
Sure. La Di Da is a hemp-infused latte. The idea behind it is simply to bring calm and ease to people's lives. We have two pillars to the business. One is the beverage itself. So the oat milk latte, we have a matcha and turmeric. And the other pillar is the technological pillar, which is a text-to-order platform. So our customers in LA and Manhattan can get their lattes delivered to their doorstep within 90 minutes, just by texting us.
That is pretty incredible. Are you partnered with any company on text-to-order? I mean, how does that work?
No, we actually built our own platform for text ordering.
And how much of your business right now, I mean, do you expect to be text ordering going forward? I mean, I'm assuming you're looking to expand a lot farther into retail, yes?
Yeah, we are actually expanding to retail, but that wasn't intended. We launched about 4 months ago, and we were supposed to, our intention was only to do text to order direct to consumer, to sell through the direct to consumer channel. But once we launched, a bunch of retailers reached out to us. So we're also entering the wholesale retail market now. Right now, text to order represents 98% of our business.
So I wonder, this is your second go around. I think actually your third go around as an entrepreneur. You had a hummus company prior to.
At a small hummus company, that's correct.
Yeah.
I believe you remember. Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the learnings you've had over the years? I mean, what are you incorporating now into this new project, into this new brand?
So it's actually interesting what Dinah and the lady from Wonder were talking about.
Tanisha, yeah.
Because
Tanisha Robinson.
What?
I was just saying her name, Tanisha Robinson.
Tanisha, yes.
Yeah.
Because I experienced the same hurdles trying to get into retailers. We were an alcoholic beverage, and in alcohol, you have to sell to a distributor that then sells to a retailer that then sells to the end consumer. So between the brand, myself, and the end consumer, there was a huge gap. And it didn't make a lot of sense to me. So I decided that with this new business, with La Di Da, we would skip that ravine and just go direct to consumer.
Well, as Dinah mentioned earlier, packaging is such an important part of anything, whether you're selling direct to consumer or you are selling in retail. So Dinah, I will ask you, any thoughts on the packaging and just sort of the brand proposition for La Di Da?
No, I think it's great. There's obviously a lot of energy around hemp, cannabis, CBD these days, and I'm loving all the innovation I'm seeing here. it's sort of enticing and inviting me in. And I think packaging is key. I've said that before. I like your packaging a lot.
Thank you.
I like the name. It's emotionally connected, like la di da is a calming word and it makes me think of vacation or relaxation. So I think, you're hitting a lot of important in between the lines type of communication. And I'm actually intrigued, like I want to try it. I think the tech part of your business is also interesting. We've seen some other businesses do that. I'm thinking, for example, of Dirty Lemon, who, was one of the first to come out with that text to order model. And I think it helped drive the value of his business quite a bit. So kudos to you for understanding it can be more than just a product. How you get distributed is important. And there's no question that e-commerce is obviously bigger than it's ever been. And I think it will only continue to get that way. So being innovative on that front is big. And I think also, I just wanted to say that LA and New York, that's smart. I mean, really, today we're sold across the nation, but even still today, LA and New York are our biggest cities. And in the beginning, to make your dollars go further, it's good to focus your efforts in small geographies, especially those of LA and Manhattan, because it's going to be a big portion and the majority of your business, even probably for the next 5 years. So, yeah, for all those reasons, I'd say good. I think the only question I had, and I'm not sure if you've ever received this, is, and I'm generally somebody who drinks coffee in the morning, and that's mostly because I'm so affected by caffeine. So I don't have coffee in the afternoon. But I'm just curious if you've ever seen a sort of conflict between the coffee proposition, which is like, for probably most people morning, and then the relaxation proposition, which is really coming through your packaging and in the name and everything like that. Like, do you ever see a conflict with that? Or are you loving that it's like an afternoon drink? Are you really pitching this as like an afternoon drink?
No, that's a great question. I have the same issue. So if I drink coffee in the afternoon, I don't sleep at night. And that's the reason that there's no coffee in our latte. These are ready to drink, no coffee lattes. We have one with matcha and one golden turmeric. So the reason the idea came to me when I was working out of coffee shops. And in the morning, I would have my coffee latte. That was great. But then in the afternoon and the evening, I needed something to carry me throughout the day. So I would have a matcha latte, a turmeric latte, a lavender latte with a bit of CBD for that extra calm. But I couldn't find them outside of coffee shops. Like they just didn't exist. That's how La Di Da was born. So yes, I do think there is somewhat of a conflict, and so no coffee.
Got it. Well, then I think one thing you might want to consider as you evolve and grow, and I'm again, I'm just a sample of one here. So disclaimer.
A very important sample of one.
Well, I think, if I was mistaking this because I saw latte as coffee, others may as well. And I think you have a real proposition here to be an afternoon, because everybody, I mean, on the flip side, while I don't drink coffee in the afternoon because of energy, because of caffeine, I love the taste of it. Like, I want that beautiful, warm latte flavor in the afternoon, but I just don't go for it. So I do think you have a cool proposition to be the afternoon latte that doesn't keep you up at night. I don't know how you can communicate that, but I think there's opportunity there to really own a space in the day. Even your packaging looks like the sun is setting. Was that on purpose?
Yes. The matcha has the sun a little setting, so coming up in the morning, and then the turmeric, it's already up.
Right.
For the afternoon.
Well, anyway, I would say you can. You're on a great start, and I would continue to think about how you can really just clearly and just articulate when and where people are supposed to drink this. Because you could own a really cool spot for where coffee sits, where latte sits.
That's very, very interesting, because when we communicate lattes, most people think of coffee, just like you did. So to convey it as an afternoon latte or something that doesn't keep you up at night is really, really interesting. I'll give it a shot.
You could even call it an afternoon latte. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Love it.
There you go.
Thank you.
Well, Ariel, I haven't tried your products yet, but I'd love to, especially in the afternoon, perhaps even in the evening, because I do like a nice latte, and well, oat milk is as hot as it gets at this point. So if you've got a good product, you might be off to a great start. It's so good seeing you. It's so good talking to you. Hopefully we can catch up in person sooner than later. But in the meantime, thanks so much for being with us on the live stream, and good luck with everything going forward.
Of course, thank you. It was a pleasure.
All right.
Take care.
Once again, this is BevNet's Elevator Talk live stream. I'm Ray Latif, joined by Dinah Trout, who's the co-founder and CEO of Health Aid Kombucha. You know, being an entrepreneur in this industry, you've got to really follow what's happening in this industry. And, you know, we've been talking about BevNet and Nosh as a great resource for those who are continuing to develop and grow their brands. One entrepreneur who is an avid reader of our sites is Mark Samuel, who is the founder and CEO of I Want Organics. And he's going to be talking right now about why you should subscribe to both BevNet and Nosh.
Nosh is important to our brand because it gives us a lot of information about what's going on in the industry, keeps us updated, keeps us on our toes with regards to maybe what's happening in our own category, but again, also just the education of what's going on in food and beverage is important for us day to day. Nosh is important to our
Mark
brand.
Is really great. I really enjoy hearing from him and following him on LinkedIn. If you don't follow Mark on LinkedIn, you should. He is a prolific poster of information, and he is always just a great, how do I put this, a great ambassador for our industry in terms of the hustle and the passion it takes to win. Dinah, I think you're right there with him as well, which is once again why I'm so glad that we have you today. And I'm so glad that we are able to introduce our next guest for the show. This is Adi Ramon, who is the co-founder of Kombucha. Adi, how are you?
Hi, Ray. I'm doing great. Hi, Dinah.
Hi, Adi.
Pleasure to be here.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, okay. You guys have not met before. I always make these terrible assumptions that everyone in the kombucha industry knows each other. But I'm glad to introduce two entrepreneurs within the category. So, Adi, San Diego is where you guys are based, and I try to get out to our office in San Diego at least once a year. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that this time, but I have seen your product out there. Tell us a bit about what your brand is and why it's differentiated from other brands in the category.
Sure. Well, so Kombucha is not your ordinary kombucha in a way. It's more than kombucha. It's kind of taking it to the next level when it comes to functionality. Obviously, there is an inherent functionality to kombucha being a fermented beverage. We are taking it to the next level by adding targeted formulations, efficacious ingredients that are targeting health and wellness in a more specific way. So we have our CBD line. So this is another beverage that is infused with 20 milligrams of broad spectrum CBD. That was the first line that we launched in bottles in 2018, and really just celebrating the medicinal value of hemp. But really the DNA of Kombucha, which M stands for medicine and more, and so many other things too, is those targeted formulations and the functionality. And so we just launched at the beginning of the year our functional kombucha elixirs, and we have our gut health here, for example, that is enriched with probiotic spores and prebiotic fiber, triphala, and raspberry and lemon. So we use scientifically and sometimes clinically backed ingredients that can really help people thrive and potentially even not use some of their supplements of the day because they're getting it through a beverage that is delicious, refreshing, but also highly functional.
I'm glad you brought up refreshing, and this is a point that I wanted to bring up with Tanisha from Wonder, which is that you both market a beverage where the first thing you promote is the functional benefit. At the end of the day, beverages often and always, almost always, have to be refreshing, right? So how do you, I guess, balance function and refreshment when you are promoting the brand?
Well, it starts first of all with the product itself, and that's, I think, one of the the edge, if you will, that we have. We do have a very, I don't know if you guys had a chance to try Kombucha, and Dinah, I don't know if you tried it.
But yeah, I definitely want to.
Okay, well, we can arrange that. But yeah, Kombucha, as I said, it's refreshing. It's very smooth. It's very crisp and clean. It's very well balanced. I'm coming from the biotech science background, and fermentation, microbiology are definitely near and dear to my heart. And so having a very well balanced kombucha that is delicious and refreshing is really the base to then add the functional ingredients. And when you have a very well ferment to start with that is delicious on its own, it's easy to formulate with additional ingredients. We take a long time to obviously find the right ingredients and formulate. We're doing everything in-house. But we also have some recent collaborations with experts in the field, if it's in hydration or gut health or adaptogens for our ultimate energy. So I think that the most important thing is having a very well balanced ferment, and that's something that we've been working on and perfecting for many years. And then knowing the ingredients, knowing the flavor profiles that will accentuate maybe some of those flavor profiles and help deliver a functional beverage that you don't compromise for the taste.
Yeah, I mean, Dinah, it's interesting because when I originally thought about Health Aid, I always thought about it as, that SoCal, more specifically that LA-based kombucha. Obviously, you guys are national now. And when I think of Kombucha, I do think of San Diego. Is that, was that a good way for you to kind of build out and establish who you are, is aligning yourself with a region? Would you recommend that to Adi and Kombucha?
I think I don't know whether to say whether it was a good or bad way, because I don't have any other experience, but as long as you're always recognizing, what your next step is going to be. Obviously, you don't want to be so tied to a region that you can't grow from that region ultimately. So always just being honest with when it's time to expand, I think is key. But I don't think there's anything wrong with starting focused. I love what you're doing. I think I'll just share, we're really interested in this space of making more function happen with kombucha. I think there's a lot of consumer insights that drive that proposition. So you probably are well aware of this already, but the kombucha drinker today is really very similar to that like early adopter in tech. In that they're a health enthusiast, they're a health visionary, and they're looking for even more function. They're looking for something new, and that's going to bring them even more. So kudos to you for being on top of that. I think that's where there's going to be growth in the kombucha world right now in the category, is people that are bringing now even something new to that consumer who's already pretty healthy. And it differentiates you from the rest of the kombuchas. So again, really good job. I think you've done a really good job also cleanly articulating what the function is and what's in it. Are you a retail-based kombucha, or are you e-com, and is it refrigerated?
Sure. Well, a few things. I want to answer your questions and then just go back to, we are, even though founded in San Diego, Kombucha can be found throughout California, also in the Bay Area. and we're just expanding now to Arizona and Nevada. So I just wanted to make it clear that we are expanding and growing, and we have big, audacious plans. And we just started our e-commerce as well. So that's a brand new avenue for us. We've been in the retail space since 2016, actually. So we started as Kombucha Culture. We were serving kombucha on tap to the SoCal market under Kombucha Culture. And we rebranded to Kombucha in 2018, launched our first product in bottles, and expanded to the rest of California. So that's just to correct the territory aspect. But just to answer your question, Dinah, can you just
repeat it? Yeah. No. Well, first I wondered, are you refrigerated?
Yes, of course. Yes.
So you have to be refrigerated. Yeah, and you have to be refrigerated then even through distribution?
Yes, and that's, so obviously refrigerated distribution throughout the entire chain of command, and that's one of the aspects of the challenges of shipping. We can't ship nationwide. We do offer free shipping to 8 states. Right now we have an insulated packaging that is also biodegradable, reusable ice packs, the whole shebang. But that's has its own challenge as well.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, just so you know, it's the challenge for us as well, and it's one of the reasons we developed our new innovation, Health Aid Booch Pop, which is sort of a bridge to kombucha, but different than kombucha, and doesn't have probiotics. Because what I was going to just say to you is we learned something I was going to share about probiotics in ambient, but it doesn't even seem like something you're going to be dealing with, because as long as you stay refrigerated, those probiotics will stay alive. So
well, we
good.
Use, probiotic in a spore form as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But even still, we found that in hot temperatures, we just learned that shipping probiotics ambient across the country, even the spore forming ones break down, even though they say they won't. We were seeing pretty significant die off. So anyway, it's a moot point to you because you're refrigerated. So I just wanted to make sure that you didn't encounter that as you entered the world of Texas in the summer months. But yeah, overall, I think it's really cool. And I think it's a smart rebrand too to Kombucha. It feels more appealing to more people.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the things that really stands out for Kombucha is that that clear glass bottle is also accented by these beautiful colors. And I think that's something that really, going back to this point of what a shelf set looks like, those colors really stand out for Kombucha, especially, the purple one. You don't really see too many purple beverages, and I think it's really beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, here's just this has been sitting in my office for a little bit unrefrigerated and starting, so you can. Anyways, I was hoping to open it, but yeah, those colors. Okay, it's been out for like an hour.
It's okay. I understand the
kombucha drinkers understand what that means.
Yeah.
And all those colors are obviously coming from just the wholesome ingredients. This is just raspberry here and some cold pressed lemon. So all the colors that you see come from plants.
Outstanding. Adi, thank you so much for joining us on the live stream. Good luck going forward with the expansion. It sounds like you've got a great foundation for a really great business. So congratulations on that, and please stay in touch.
Thank you so much, Ray, and honored to meet you, Dinah. Thank you so much for all
nice to meet you. Good luck, Adi.
Thank you.
All right. It's always, getting to our final guest of the show. I always want to apologize because, this person's been patiently waiting to speak with us. And I thank you for your patience, but I have a feeling we're going to hear some great stuff. And that's from Trishna Sehgal, who is the founder and CEO of Down to Cook Foods. Trishna, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Very good. I probably butchered your last name. How do you pronounce it?
Sehgal.
Sehgal. Okay.
Yeah.
I got the S and the L correct. So sorry about that. Down to Cook Foods. So you have to be down to cook to get involved with your brand.
Exactly.
There you go. Tell us about what you guys do, some of the products you sell.
Yeah, sure. So our first product, it's called Add a Veggie Protein Mix. The way it works is you blend it with a fresh vegetable, and then you can use that mix to make, use it as a ground meat alternative. So you can form patties, meatballs, a crumble, pan fry it, and it works with a variety of veggies. So the mix itself, it's dry. It's based with pea protein, fiber, and spices. And the way I designed, I really wanted to add texture to veggies. When I started the company and I was asking people their challenges with cooking vegetables, it was a lot around like, I don't feel full and I don't feel satisfied. So with the added protein and the nice crisp and chew that mix adds, you really can get a satiating meal from a pure veggie-based meal and make veggies the center of your plate. And the reason I started down to cook, I've been in the plant-based world for a while now, and I really wanted to create something that was both healthy and accessible. So the fact that, we're a dry mix makes our price point reach more people. The fact that it's very versatile and works with a lot of different veggies and forms means it can fit into different cultural cuisines. And then we're using fresh veggies, so it's healthy. And that's kind of hits all the points that we aim to do when we started out about a year ago.
This might sound like a ridiculous question. What is an Add a Veggie? What is Add?
The name of the product is called Add a Veggie, and it's supposed to be like, dual meaning, right? Like, attaboy, you're eating your vegetables, but then you're also like adding a vegetable.
Okay, so it was a ridiculous question on my part. I apologize.
No. I mean, if you asked it means it wasn't obvious. So it's a good question.
Okay, Dinah, did you get that? Add a Veggie or Add a Veggie?
Ray, I did.
Okay. When Charlie Brown walks away with his head, going like this, and that's me right now. Okay.
Oh, bless your heart. Yeah.
I really thought, okay, I'm not going to say anymore. I'll just let Donna take over because whatever I say now is just going to be completely ridiculous. So,
I will say I didn't get the double meaning though. I didn't get the like add a girl meaning. I got add a veggie like plus a veggie. So, so now that I see it written here, you weren't totally off track there, Ray. But really cool. I love to see innovation in this plant-based world when we just are so clearly, we just know now from science that a plant-based diet is much healthier for us. So now the question is, how do we integrate that into something that's fulfilling and satisfying? And I think this is a great, it's like a great innovation. It's almost like the new age pancake mix, except you can, and so I'm sort of intrigued. I want to try it and play around with it. And I think that's very aligned with your name for your brand, Down to Cook, right? This would be for someone that would want to play around because there is so much versatility, it sounds like. So on your website, it looks like you have almost kind of like meatballs style pictured, at least on the front page. What else can you make?
Yeah, you could do tons of things. So you can make like a burger. One of the most popular ones is using broccoli to make a broccoli burger with a mix. We do a lot of crumbles, so you can use it as a taco filling or in burritos or in bowls. So it can fit like in your typical way you would use a ground meat, like as a meatball or as a patty, but you could also just make like a ground meat and put it in a sauce or put it in, a taco or whatnot.
It's pretty cool when I think about, oh, sorry, Ray, I didn't.
No, please go ahead.
I was going to say it's pretty cool when I think about the versatility. I think the challenge you'll have is sometimes versatility can make it confusing to a consumer, like until they become an expert. And so when I look at your products, I would want you to succeed at that first interaction before someone's really gotten to know it. Have you thought at all about how you can get consumers to understand, because this really is new, right? I mean, you can buy things like taco flavoring. You can buy things like, fake meat or, like plant-based meats for burgers, but yours is very different. Yours is you kind of like put two things together and then you can formulate something. Have you thought a little bit about how you can get consumers to understand what this is, understand how to use it at the beginning?
So kind of to your earlier point, we spent a ton of time on the packaging. We were selling at farmers markets a lot in the beginning to kind of understand how to communicate what it is. And then we put that into our package redesign. So right now we have like a photo of like a broccoli burger on the front, and there's an equation that says mix plus broccoli equals patty. And then, we thought a lot about the name, add a veggie. I mean, most people get it. It's basically add a vegetable.
I'm never going to live this down. This is so bad. But anyway, I love the name now that I know what it's all about. But please go ahead.
I shouldn't have said that.
No, dig away.
And then, the other thing is like we sell a lot on e-com right now. So there we have a lot of digital real estate to kind of communicate what it is and how it works and show like the process of making it. So totally the biggest challenge is the versatility can be the biggest like driver and the value prop of the product, but can also like be the most challenging thing if people don't get it right away. So we've thought a lot about like the face of the package, communicating that.
Well, and that's where I was going to go with this, because you may end up, and again, sample of one here, but you may end up being more effective by selling one thing, and then after someone becomes an expert, you kind of get them to try that with something new. So in other words, like the one on the left that I'm looking at, the original blend, it looks like on the picture, you've got a hamburger. Mm-hmm. Maybe even just calling that the hamburger blend, so that a consumer is like, I make a hamburger with this. Okay, I can do this. We're going to have hamburgers tonight. Let's try this. Mm-hmm. And then the way you get them to get versatile is after they become an expert. Like after they've made the hamburger a few times and they love it, you're like, did you know you can also make blank? Same thing with the herby roasted garlic. You have on the picture meatballs on top of spaghetti. Again, very kind of common thing. It would be easy for me to think like, okay, I was thinking of doing spaghetti and meatballs. Let's try a plant-based version. This seems like something I can do. Same thing with the taco. Like, what if you actually sold it as like an actual, so you made it easy for that first time? Because I think that's going to be your biggest challenge. Then once someone gets used to it, they can start to expand. What do you think about that?
Yeah, totally. Like right now I have, 3 recommended veggies on the back of how you can make it. And the instructions are like meatball, patty, or crumble. And then this new phase that we're doing, we're actually just going to be like, this one vegetable, make it into a burger. This one vegetable, make it into a, eggplant meatball, to kind of hone that in, and then have recipes on our website for alternate uses. So yeah, that totally makes sense.
Trishna, can I ask you why you have, why it's called Down to Cook Foods, but the brand name is Out of Food or Add a Veggie? I mean, do you plan on incorporating or transitioning one to the other, or how's that going to work?
Yeah, so as a company, my whole mission is really to help people cook healthy food for themselves at home. So that's where like Down to Cook is kind of the umbrella company name. Add a Veggie is our, and we'll have more Add a Veggie type products. We started with the protein, but we'll kind of move around the plate. And then eventually what I'd like to do is give people like meal planning tools and ways that they can use vegetables on a regular basis without having food waste, and be able to like actually make plant-based eating sustainable and doable for busy folks. So that's why like Down to Cook is where the company is, and like where I want to be in 4 or 5 years, is helping people cook instead of just having like a one singular product. Does that make sense?
It does. Oftentimes we see a company with sort of umbrella name, but it's not necessarily known to the public. I think of Vita Coco with All Market. All Market is the name of the company, and Vita Coco is the brand name. But again, most people don't know the All Market. But I guess Down to Cook Foods, does it offer you an opportunity to introduce other branded products as well with other lines that are not tied to Add a Veggie?
Yeah, and other tools to help folks cook. So yeah, that's the dream.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, I got to say that, your packaging really spoke to me, except for, that one part. But, I think that one of the hard things with any plant-based product or, vegetable replacement for an animal-based protein is making the product look and taste, look really appealing. And then I see the pictures on the front of your package, and, although you could add more photos to describe, other vegetables you can use, other products that you can make, other meals that you can make. What you have on the front, the photography, is really mouthwatering. So great job with that. And I definitely would love to make that broccoli burger. That looks really, really tasty.
Okay, sounds good.
Fantastic. All right, Trishna, thank you so much for joining us on the live stream. Really appreciate everything that you're doing for our industry. And so excited to see this next generation of plant-based entrepreneurs coming up. So thank you for that, and good luck with everything going forward.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, Dinah, we're right at 4 o'clock here, 4 o'clock Eastern time. And it's been just an amazing hour of talking to entrepreneurs and speaking with you and getting that kind of, I guess, kumbaya and just excitement about what people are doing in our business. It's difficult to succeed. That we saw a lot of brands today that, need to make some moves to ensure their success going forward. It's easy to say that Health Aid, is a successful company now and, was always on the right track. But, in the short time that we have left, if you could just give us, 1 or 2 things that would really encompass, or I guess put into perspective, what it takes to make it in the food and beverage industry. And I know that's a big question and you don't have a lot of time, but any pointers that you can give to our early stage entrepreneurs?
Sure, and it is a big question. I think what I say to people is, first, it's not just the product. I think we weigh heavily the product, and it is an important piece, and I would say one of the most important pieces, but it's not the only one. I usually say that there's 3 main reasons Health Aid's grown so fast, and it's 1, the liquid, but the 2 next things are equally important, and that's the people on your team, making sure that you have the same values, that you are equally driven, and that you tend to that part of the business, I think is key. And then last, the brand, the packaging, how you communicate with consumers. It's all very important. So I always say the people, the brand, and the product.
I think that's all really good advice, great advice. And if you want to hear more great advice from Dinah, you should check out Taste Radio. Just in the search bar, look for Dinah Trout. Again, the co-founder and CEO of Health Aid. We've recorded a couple great episodes with you. The most recent being Successful Habits, episode 116, which I entitled "Successful Habits of a Kombucha Queen." I hope you don't mind that title. I think that kind of it describes sort of what you are. You
can always call me Queen, Ray. It's fine.
Okay. Right. Fair enough.
I'll send you some broccoli burgers and fruitcake.
We saw some pretty interesting things today. We really did. We really did.
I loved it. I actually I feel 1 step closer to trying CBD products.
We saw a lot of that today too. And hopefully you'll get some samples in the mail soon. And if folks want to get in touch with you, I think this is a good question. What's the best way to do so? Is it LinkedIn? Just connecting with you on that platform?
Yeah, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. Instagram's another place where usually I'll just respond and give you my email. So I'm on at Dinah Trout. Pretty simple, nothing fancy on Instagram and on LinkedIn. So
yeah, and you're posting on Instagram quite often, so I know you're a prolific Instagrammer. I'll
remind my PR team about that. Yeah.
No, it's great actually. I saw I think it was a post today about family and marriage and how that works within the world of entrepreneurship, and it was a really interesting post and a great one.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Not easy.
Right. No, I can't imagine. Dinah, just so good seeing you, and thank you so much again for joining us in this edition of the live stream.
Thanks.
If we can get together soon, I'm going to be ecstatic. But until then, thank you again, and thank you for your team for providing Health Aid to the world, because it is really a gift to the world.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Bye, everyone.
All right, that brings us to the end of this episode of BevNet's Elevator Talk live stream. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back on next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Until then, signing off for our fantastic team at BevNet and Nosh and our wonderful co-host, Dinah Trout, I'm Ray Latif. We'll see you next time.